Welcome to the December update. Today, we'll be taking a look at some of the best games coming to the PlayStation Vita this month, as well as recapping all the most recent Vita-related news stories. A list of the top 10 all-time best-selling PS Vita games has been released by NPD analyst Matt Piscatella. They are, in order: Uncharted Golden Abyss, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, Mortal Kombat, Little Big Planet, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Killzone Mercenary, Persona 4 Golden, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Unit 13. Bear in mind that this list doesn't factor in digital sales. It's also worth noting that Killzone Mercenary is the only title on the list to not have released in 2012. Also of note is that the sales of these titles combined equates to roughly how much the PS4 exclusive Spider-Man earned in its first month in the US. Night Trap, the controversial interactive movie game that launched on the Sega CD back in 1992, is now getting a physical Vita release through online outlet Limited Run Games. The game's plot centers around 5 teenage girls who spend a weekend at a house that, unbeknownst to them, is infested with vampires. As a member of the Special Control Attack Team, it's up to you to keep them safe. Pre-orders for the game went live on November 2nd. While no date has been set as of yet, Night Trap will also presumably get a digital release in the near future. Vanillaware, the developer of Dragon's Crown and Odin Sphere, have announced that their latest game, 13 Sentinels: Aegis Rim, will no longer be coming to Vita. The game was announced for Vita and PS4 back in 2014, and a Western release was also confirmed last year. Along with the Vita version's cancellation came a pushing back of the game's PS4 release date to an undisclosed time. P-Cube, the British publisher behind games like Cat Quest and Punchline, will not be bringing any more of their games to Vita, citing Sony's indifference to the handheld as the main reason behind the decision. To quote P-Cube, Nintendo Switch is standing up with a sniper rifle, while the PS Vita is a gentle bird that can't fly. Ouch. NIS America, a longtime supporter of the system, have announced its final 3 physical Vita games. All set to release stateside in March 2019, the games are as follows: the RPG brawler Penny Punching Princess, the anime RPG The Lost Child, and the retro-style RPG The Longest 5 Minutes. Before we take a look at December's new releases, I'd like to shed a light on a few games that released last month, but were announced too late to make it into the update. Slayaway Camp Butcher's Cut is a horror puzzle game in which you assume the role of Skullface, a slasher villain who set his sights on revenge. Inspired by 80s horror movies, this new edition of the original game comes with scores of additional content, and spans over 300 puzzle levels to traverse. Slayaway Camp is available digitally in the US and Europe, and is a cross-buy title with the PS4 version of the game. Next up we have Emerald Shores, a challenging 90s-inspired 2D platformer. The game spans several mini-games, challenging bosses, and side quests to take on as you level up your character. Like Slayaway Camp, the game is cross-buy compatible between the Vita and PS4. Emerald Shores is available digitally in the US. Revenge of the Birdman, an old-school platformer with light RPG elements, also released last month. The game is broken up into a series of platforming segments and an overworld to explore, in which you'll sometimes come across Zelda 2-esque random encounters. Sadly, the game is plagued with effectively a game-breaking glitch which prevents you from buying new weapons from the game's shop, which in turn makes it very difficult to play through. Revenge of the Birdman is available digitally in the US, though I can't recommend it in its current state. Gundemoniums, a remake of the 2003 side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, is now available digitally in the US and Europe. The game originally launched on Vita in Japan last year. This remake comes with new characters and full widescreen support. The pixel art beat-em-up I Am the Hero is now available digitally in the US and Europe, and is a cross-buy title with the PS4 version as well. This 2D beat-em-up has a really awesome visual style, and is inspired by old-school fighting games. Lastly, we have Mecha Wars Desert Ashes, a remake of the 2009 strategy game of the same name. In addition to being remastered in HD, Desert Ashes boasts a new art style, an expanded single-player campaign, and 6 previously unreleased multiplayer maps. The game is cross-buy compatible and is now available digitally in North America. With those titles out of the way, let's take a look at December's new Vita releases. The Vita's getting 2 Persona games this month: Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. Featuring the main cast of those original titles, these rhythm games have you trying to hit notes against the backdrop of different locations from Persona 3 and 5 respectively. During fever sections of each song, a secondary character will be brought in to join you. The choreography of the 2 characters is in turn decided by their relationship in those original titles. Both games feature songs from the corresponding RPG, and are basically an evolution of 2015's Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight release in the US and Europe on December 4th. Next up we have Energy Cycle Edge, the sequel to 2016's Energy Cycle. This puzzle game essentially revolves around the player activating different cells in the game field, which in turn will switch the cell's color. Once all the cells' colors match, the game ends. The game spans 44 different levels and has an IDM soundtrack comprised of various different artists. Energy Cycle Edge launches digitally in North America and Europe on December 5th. The 2D single-player action-adventure game Dragonfly Chronicles is also coming to Vita sometime this month. After your father is killed, you set out to seek revenge and uncover the mystery behind the shadowy organization known as the Dragonfly. The game combines modern visuals with challenging, old-school gameplay. No concrete release date has been set as of yet. Next up, we have Scintilla Tron 4096, a rapid-fire shoot-'em-up that's described as simple to play, but difficult to master. The game revolves around getting high scores, which is done through performing various combos. The game's a mix of old-school shoot-'em-up mechanics with modern visuals, and features an electro music soundtrack. Scintilla Tron 4096 is set to release digitally in the US and Europe on December 18th. Lastly, there are also 2 games launching exclusively in Japan this month. The first is Panic Palette, an adventure game which originally launched on PS2 back in 2007. The second game is Root Letter Last Answer, the latest installment in the long-running visual novel series. Last Answer innovates in the sense that it's a live-action remake featuring a cast of 90 actors, though you can still choose to play the game in its original illustrated version. Both games are releasing both digitally and at retail, and will launch on December 13th and December 20th respectively. Which brings us to the end of this month's update. It's worth noting that these aren't all the Vita games releasing this month, just the ones I decided to showcase. For a list of all the new Vita games not mentioned in this video, see the description box below. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, this has been Fixation.